It might be one small step, but for children feeling isolated, a new buddy bubble is a giant leap towards freedom. Children can now have two friends over to visit under strict rules. Mark Reddy is live for us in Sydney's West tonight. Mark, lockdown life should become a little easier for kids and teens.
It certainly is, Jeremy. After more than 3 months of homeschooling, this is certainly music to the ears of many parents and children who can now catch up with more of their friends on school holidays. But this has certainly raised questions of fairness, particularly among those who are fully vaccinated, left wondering why the same freedoms should not apply to them. It was the news that sent kids and parents flying on school holidays.
Children are waiting for this moment, and then it's kind of a great relief for parents and kids as well.
Excited and happy at the same time that I get to see my friends and play with them or have a picnic in their backyard.
I'm really excited to see my friends.
From today, a group of 3 friends under the age of 18 will be able to visit each other at home. As long as all adults are fully vaccinated, the house is within your area, and that other adults don't stick around for the play date. Across New South Wales, there were just over 1,000 new cases of coronavirus and 10 deaths. All were over the age of 50, 2 were fully vaccinated. With school holidays in full swing, the friend bubble means children will have more to do in lockdown. But some parents fear it could be a slippery slope.
If the parents are vaccinated, there's still that iffy kind of situation.
It's not good for the children to expose. Because, there are a lot of kids in the hospital, a lot of people in the hospital, they're suffering from all these viruses.
How can you reconcile that it's, you can have 2 kids in your house that aren't vaccinated, but then you can't have 2 fully vaccinated adult visitors over at your house at this point?
Look, it's the one thing that I think we've probably all learnt in these last 20 months of this virus is that there's no absolute certainty on any issue. There is no perfect, it's a balancing act.
How authorities intend to police the friend bubble is unclear, nor the effect it will have on case numbers. While welcome news for most parents, some of those who are fully vaccinated and without children believe it's unfair.
I think it's a bit unfair that it's one rule for one and not for the other.
Definitely for having a friends bubble for younger adults and older adults as well would definitely be a good way forward, definitely for the mental health of them as well.
Epidemiologists say it's a small but manageable risk.
It's not zero risk though, and we do know that actually every time you allow a connection between households, you're particularly elevating that risk from what is hopefully zero to not zero.
And with a staggered return to the classroom next month, it's hoped this holiday will be one to remember, not to regret. Mark Reddy, ABC News, Sydney.
And one of Sydney's biggest industries has also received a surprise boost. All construction will return to 100% capacity from Monday. Here's state political reporter Ashley Raper.
From Monday, there'll be more people back at work. Construction sites will be able to operate at full capacity, even in the hotspots.
It's almost ironic that today, the day that we've been shut down in Victoria, is the day that the New South Wales government has just announced the ending of all caps and restrictions.
While the 50% cap at work sites has been scrapped, the rules around vaccination and permits for workers in the local government areas of concern remain.
And we'd actually reached a point where the 50% capacity limit on a construction site was stopping people who had been vaccinated from being able to go to work.
Vaccination is the key to the state reopening. The government has set restrictions, but there's no certainty about how they'll be policed or what the penalties will be.
The question is to the government, they need to be clear about their expectation and what they need from business community and the community at large. And if they can set a clear pathways, then business have a map to follow.
That path will be laid out in the public health orders yet to be finalised.
These things are complex and they need to be worked through.
Racing on the outside there of tracking, then came Behemoth.
The government has decided to allow the Everest horse race to go ahead.
I think having something like the Everest is obviously an incredible event for New South Wales. It's also something which says to the world we're opening up and we're getting back to where we want to be.
It's scheduled for October the 16th. So that means the state is likely to hit 70% double-dose vaccination before that in just 3 weeks. The Everest will be limited to 5,000 spectators.
I'm hoping that the organisers aren't too disappointed by the limited numbers.
There are still strict limits on aged care homes, which the government is looking to relax.
Aged care is a huge issue for us. Obviously, there has to be some safeguards in that regard, and it comes down largely to the advice that is given to the aged care facilities to keep the virus out.
But even with a ban on visitors, the virus has got into facilities. One of the deaths today was the third elderly person to die from an outbreak at a home in Guildford in Sydney's west. Another 40 residents are infected. Ashley Raper, ABC News, Sydney.
Large parts of the state's north are now back in lockdown. A single COVID case has forced the Byron region, the Tweed and Kempsey on the mid-north coast to snap shut, and it's meant the border bubble has burst. Bronwyn Herbert has more from the Tweed.
Want to eat organic? You're all set.
The TV show is in the right spot for that, but thousands of North Coast locals are wishing the production had stayed well away. The Byron region is now back in a snap lockdown after a film crew member working on the new I Am a Celebrity series has tested positive to COVID. The woman was an authorised worker but doesn't appear to have followed the stay-at-home rules.
If you've travelled into, for example, a regional area that's not under stay-at-home orders, it's very important that you don't go out and about, and in particular that you wear a mask.
The crew member is fully vaccinated and was wearing PPE while at work. The Kingscliff pub is now a hotspot. Anyone who was here on Sunday afternoon is now a close contact. A local MP fears this is going to keep happening.
We are really sitting ducks because at the moment you've got Sydney ramping up for more freedoms because they're hitting their targets for vaccinations, but meanwhile we're behind schedule.
In Byron, this vegan restaurant had last drinks this afternoon before closing again.
We opened on Friday and now we're in lockdown today.
The Tweed is also now back in lockdown, and the impact on those needing to cross the border is devastating. Queensland's rules are now even stricter and with very limited exceptions.
People are losing their businesses, they're unable to support their families, they're not able to see their families.
It just brings on misery.
Around the rest of the state, there have been 27 new cases on the Central Coast, 7 in the west, 6 in the far west, 5 of those in Wilcannia. Hunter, New England has 18 cases, 5 new cases in the Murrumbidgee region. There are 9 cases in southern New South Wales, and in the Illawarra region there are 50 new cases. In Kempsey on the mid-north coast there are no cases, but exposure sites have triggered another lockdown.
Back in business just over a week, and we're just settling down, and you know the frightening part about was buying all the stock again.
Everyone is hoping they'll be out of lockdown in 7 days. Bronwyn Herbert, ABC News, Tweed Heads.